What up, what up, what up? Thank y'all again for joining us on the smoke sessions. This is Brother Jam,
Brother Los on the cam.
and we are the Daily Smoke. Welcome to the smoke sessions.
Smoke session. Yes, sir.
As you can see, I'm by myself. Unfortunately, Brother Bob was having some vehicle troubles and he couldn't make it for the show today.
Get a new car, nigga.
Well, hopefully he can get his repaired here soon, and he'll be back in moving condition and can get it here to the show for us. So
He's on there though. I got him on your little logo.
oh, okay, cool.
You can see him, holding up his black hand and shit.
Yeah, black hand. But man, I'm trying to tell you. So, man, it's been a hell of a week, brother. Oh my goodness.
420 today, even though it's not today. We're filming on 420.
Right. Yeah. So we just if you saw the episode with Rick, man, I'm trying to tell you, still in a good space right now. So
right.
This should be fun.
Right.
Now, what was we talking about earlier, man? What did I say? The
nut drag.
The nut drag.
Nobody wants to talk about the nut drag. They want to talk about
okay.
titties.
See, me and Los was having a conversation where we was talking about how when you get older, one of the things people don't prepare you for is just like women talk about their breasts and gravity having, playing consequences with their breasts. It has the same effect on testicles, man.
You know what I'm saying?
So as you get older, they start to hang lower, and they get in the fucking way. There's just no ifs, ands, and buts about it. Yeah, you go to sit down, and next thing you know, you getting right back up because you got to readjust. Because you landed on them, or either that, or they was like caught in the folds of like the pants or some shit. So
that should be wrong. Nobody want to talk about that. Tune in.
Right,
nut drag episode.
Nobody wants to talk about the nut drag, man. It's depressing.
Although they got all that Manscaped shit out right now and soap and shit for the nuts.
See, okay, I don't know, man.
You go for the commercial like
Okay. Now I'm not opposed to trimming up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, it just makes sense. You want somebody to go down there and handle you up. Then you want to at least present them with something that's nice and neat.
Yard look good.
Yeah, keep up the like to say the manscaping.
Right.
Make sure the edges is trimmed, grass ain't growing wild, and you good. But when you get into all these soaps and creams and everything, trying to rub them all on your
same soap as any other goddamn soap.
Right, that's my point. I mean,
what makes this special for balls is just that my damn skin. Same shit.
If it's good for my forearm, it's good for my nuts.
Same.
I don't buy into it, man.
Now get me some of that tighten them motherfuckers up. We'll use that.
You do. Okay, so I saw this video on I think it was on TikTok. Might have been on Instagram. I'm not sure, but it was a video, right? And it was like this Asian woman who was advertising some kind of skin cream. And so the picture, it was, just a straight shot of her face. And you can see all the wrinkles and bags and stuff under her eyes. And on one side of her face, she took this cream and she rubbed it in. And as she was rubbing it in, like as the camera was just sitting there, it took maybe a minute. But as you could see, as you was watching it, the skin literally just like tightened up. And like all the wrinkles and shit went away. And like next thing you know, her shit was just smooth.
That's crazy.
And like it did it while you was watching it. Now I've seen some people say that video is fake and it's just a really good fake, but
that would be crazy.
That shit was convincing. Now if I could rub some of that shit on my nuts and it is smooth, like,
nice and smooth.
What your boy say? It's smooth like eggs. It's like, but will you suck these balls? Oh my God. They're smooth as eggs.
Smooth as babies. Do I put back to the smoothest skin with this cream?
Man, I'm
tightening cream for balls.
That's an invention.
That's for me.
That's an invention. Tightening cream for balls.
Tightening cream for balls.
Oh Jesus! Now we moved into some strange territory, brother.
We're trying to help all us.
All us older brothers. Man, look, y'all know about the nut drag. Don't even pretend like y'all don't. I dare to say, if you 45 and above, Because if you're in your early 40s, it might not have hit you yet. Not where it's noticeable. You know, it's the process has started. Don't get me wrong, but as you get like 45,
you'll see.
Especially 45 going into 50, that's when you really start to notice that shit. You're like, okay, goddamn, these motherfuckers is just always in the way.
Right. Sitting there like, man, you know what? I've been aching for a while, but now I have to move.
Right.
These motherfuckers, I've been sitting on them for like a half hour. Shit.
Dude.
You gotta make a chair with the little hole in it. Well, at least right on the couch they have an indentation. So go in there, they got their own little resting place. People come over see little holes, little spots on the couch. Like, what's that for? Oh, that's for the man. I got the female ones here.
What do they call it? That when they talk about the way men sit with their legs wide open, talk about they call it man spreading. Mm-hmm. It's not because we just trying to dominate the space. Hell, we're trying to make room for our nuts.
They hang off the edge of the seat.
Yeah, we can't sit with our legs crossed, especially once you get past a certain age. This shit's just gonna get uncomfortable.
Have it to where when somebody come in here, all the couches have a
little divot.
The female comes out, remove the couch, and put one that has it's up here.
No, you can
here on her.
You can have the cushions that flip over, so one side of the cushion is like for dudes with the little cup. And then the other side,
and it comes up, boom, and it comes up there, boom, keep them up. So while they're sitting there, something pops up on the side.
Okay, so we've got two new products out of this. We've got nut tightening cream, and we've got flippable couch cushions for male and female comfort.
Male and female comfort.
Yeah.
Testicles and tits.
I mean, hey, we're gonna
hold them up for you.
We equal opportunity. We're gonna sell it to everybody.
We'll hold them up for you. That's funny. That's crazy shit.
What was it they used to call it back in school? It was an over the shoulder boulder holder.
Mm-hmm. Right? I ain't heard that in a long time.
Boy,
that's funny.
I'm telling on myself with that one, boy, because I'm trying to tell you, 47. 47.
I got 10 on you.
I know.
This May I'll be 57.
Wow, really, man?
Yeah, I'll be 57 in May.
In May?
Yep.
All right, damn.
65. I'm a 65 in the beginning of Generation X.
Yeah.
At the beginning.
You're right there at the beginning.
Mom was right there with me. We're all in that. It's like it's our turn, and then we're slowly we'll move along.
Oh yeah, you know.
That's what happens all the time, anyway.
But that's the natural cycle of things.
Right.
And
that's
it's like
you got to get rid of politics, though. You shouldn't be there 2 generations later. You got to. We'll give you your generation because you're not there yet. So as you get there, you're the ones that are in charge of the generation before you, and then it's time for you to go. You can't be there for 3 generations.
Yeah.
No, that's bullshit.
That's why I say term limits or age limits on politicians should be a thing, man.
If I got to retire 65, 70, you too.
Yeah.
You can't be running for shit. You're out of touch of what's going on in the world, man.
Trump and Biden both over 70.
Y'all don't know what the
y'all are out of touch with what everyday common regular people are dealing with. Not just because
you're listening to people people that are of the group that you're trying to control. They're the ones that are telling you what to do, but you have no clue what the fuck they're doing. You're just doing it because they're telling you, hey, this is what people want.
But you have no connection. You're too far removed from them, and it's not even about money in that instance. It's just about age. You're past child rearing years. You know, you past the working years. You're out of touch with what the common person has to deal with. It just doesn't exist for you. Right. Yeah. And I get that. I'm not saying anything's wrong with that. But
generations later, you're out of touch, or you're just at the edge of it. So you need to go.
Yeah, let somebody younger come in who has dealt with the current situation and the way the world is, and knows what people that age are struggling with. 35 to 65.
Right, that should be the cutoff.
You should be it. You know, 35, you're old enough to know better, and 65, you're old enough to get the fuck out.
Yeah, go chill, go relax, man. Enjoy the rest of your life. You be good, thank you. Go on about your way.
I'm trying to tell you,
people do this shit, you know,
because the people who are in charge now
it's not gonna affect you
old.
anyways. You know, it's not gonna affect you anyways.
Yeah,
this is for the people that are out here. You're retired, chilling. Don't worry about that.
But that's the thing, and I'll get on this little soapbox, and then it's the last I'll say, at least as far as politics is concerned. But that's the problem with conservatives, is that they don't realize that they always lose because the world always makes progress.
Right.
You know, you conservatives basically are fighting a losing battle.
Right.
And that's the problem. It's like y'all are trying to fight to keep something the same way it's always been, when history has taught us nothing ever stays the same.
Right. It moves anyway.
Things are going to change. You might not like it, but it's going to happen.
And the laws that you imposed back then, they don't work now.
Yeah.
You know, just like, the laws that they wrote this Constitution on it.
And dude, even the people who wrote the Constitution intended for us to rewrite the goddamn thing every so often.
They don't want to rewrite shit.
But now we've enshrined it and made it a damn near a holy book.
Right. Just bullshit fucking amendments here and there.
All right. We're gonna get off of damn politics.
Before we go though, about the website and
yeah. Thank you, brother. Okay, so if y'all need to check us out, want to know what's coming up, want to know what we're gonna be talking about, go to www.thaDailySmoke.com. All of our upcoming episodes are there on the website. So if you're ever curious as to what we might be talking about next, that's where you go to find it out. You can connect to all of our social medias, so Twitter, YouTube, of course, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of those. So please go to the website, check us out. Also, if you want to give donations, our Cash App, is $TD Smoke. So if you're ever feeling generous and you want to say, okay, I want to help these brothers out, continue to bring y'all good content, so please feel free to donate. We much appreciate it. Thank you for the, love and consideration. Even if you're not able to donate, we still love you. So thank you for that as well.
On you can go on the website and there's a space where you can click and come, or we're calling it, come have an experience with us.
Oh yeah.
If you want to be if you want to come on the show and shit.
Yeah, and if y'all take a look on the website, we got pictures of past guests. So you come on the web, you go to the website, fill out the information so we can get in touch with you about being on the show. Then next thing you know, your picture's up on our website and you get to be on the show. Check it out, man. I'm telling you.
Topic with you if you want, or just be part of the studio audience.
We do allow people to come and just sit and hang with us while we doing the show. So if you just want to come and be in the background and hang with us, we cool with that too.
Right. So yeah, go check it out and donate.
That's www.thaDailySmoke.com. So please check us out, y'all.
And $TD Smoke.
Yeah, that's the most important one. Shoot. Gotta get that paper, dog.
Right.
Oh, man. But, okay, so I know we kind of talked about this before on a previous episode, but I wanted to touch back with the subject of SCPs. Last time, we kind of rambled, conversation was a little bit all over the place, so I know it might have been hard to get a good idea of what was actually being explained, because the SCP universe is very huge and it's very complicated, but at the same time, it can also be very simple because it's just a collection of stories. And these stories happen to all be related and they all kind of exist in the same universe. So it follows some basic rules and guidelines. And that's really what it is. A lot of people get caught up on a lot of the terminology. So things like a D class, which is basically disposable humans that the foundation, the SCP Foundation, uses to experiment on. Whenever you need to send somebody who they're probably going to wind up dying, you send the D class. The whole organization is run by what they call the O5 Council, okay? And there's 13 O5s. So there's 13 O5s on the council because the organization is structured from 5 down to 1. So level 1, you're just a baseline employee. Level 2, you're a little higher up the security chain, and so on and so forth till you get to the O5s. And they're the ones. There's very little going on in the foundation that they don't know, but there is one above the O5 Council, and that's the administrator. And he's actually considered an SCP himself, so that tells you what kind of situation the foundation is actually in when it comes to being run. So yeah, but I did want to talk about a few different SCPs just to kind of give y'all some examples of
some of this crazy shit.
some of the things that goes on in the SCP universe, and I tried to make it diverse because I wanted you to get the thing that I love about the SCP universe and all the different stories that are in it is that there's such a variety of different things. If you like horror, there's horror. If you like, technical stuff, there's technical stories. Talk about time travels and quantum physics and all of that kind of stuff. There's all these different kinds of stories that are covered by the SCP universe, and all of it is very well written and really fun to get into. So without further ado, as they say, I'm going to talk about the first one, which is going to be SCP-529. It's called Josie the Half Cat.
Josie the Half, that picture is crazy, man.
Okay.
It holds itself up.
And that's the thing. Okay, so basically, they found this cat. The Foundation found this cat. Just somebody reported this weird ass cat, and they went out and got it. And when they got it, of course, they got to check it out and see what the hell's going on. And literally, it exists like you see it. Past its ribs, its body is gone, and the opening where normally you would see guts and stuff, it's just black, and you can touch it. It's solid, and they say it kind of gives if you press on it. But if you touch it for too long, the cat gets upset and tries to scratch you.
That would be crazy, man. Go grab the cat and keep getting away.
But it says that the back legs aren't invisible; they're literally not there.
That's crazy.
So, like, you can literally pass your hand clean in between it. They said after it feeds, it does periodically, like, it'll make movements like it's using the bathroom, but nothing happens. Nobody knows what happened to it or how it got that way. There is another SCP that's kind of similar, so they think they might be related, but supposedly, according to the file, studies are ongoing.
Why is this cat dangerous, though?
It's not dangerous. He's just weird. That's the thing. The SCP Foundation is really designed to maintain normalcy. That's what their goal is. So they don't want you, me, regular rank and file humans knowing about all this crazy shit that's going on. So imagine if you saw this cat, you'd be like, what the fuck? You'd start to question what we consider reality and what might be possible.
Right.
That's what they're... Even though something like this isn't dangerous, you still got to get it out.
Can't walk around.
You got to contain it because you can't let people know this kind of shit is out there.
Right. And secure, contain, and protect, man.
Exactly. That's the whole. That's the goals of the organization. That's the name. Then if we go to number 2, this one is actually one of my favorites, and I'll say this. I wish this SCP was real. SCP-1230. So that's 1230. A hero is born. What it is it's a book, a green book that all the pages in it are blank except for the first page. And when you open it, the words "a hero is born" appears on the first page. After you, as the person who open the book and read that line, the very next time you go to sleep, you will have a dream, and in that dream, that guy will appear, this wizard-looking dude. He will appear to you, and he will explain to you that he is basically there to help you have these incredible, amazing dreams. And he will construct a fantasy world based on what you like, that you get to dream about, and you'll remember the entire dream when you wake up. So whatever you might enjoy, any kind of thing that you want to do, he can make it happen in your dream. And so they did an experiment because they was trying to figure out like if the dream had limits. So they sent a D class in and they told him to, as soon as he got in, to try to kill himself as fast as he could. And just so happens, his dream started off with him standing on the edge of a volcano, and he immediately jumped in.
That's crazy.
So then he woke up, and he was like, "Yeah, it felt like I felt like the heat, but then I woke up. Like I was starting to feel the heat, but then I woke up." So then the next D class that they sent in, they told him, they said, "Don't kill yourself, but just try to harm yourself as soon as you get in the dream." So he got in the dream and he immediately did something where he like cut his arm, and they call him oh dang it, I forgot.
The dude in the green.
Yeah, the dude in the green. He has a name. Oh, the bookkeeper. That's what he's called. They call him the bookkeeper. And so the bookkeeper said, "Hey, I can help you with that wound." He's like, "But I'm just glad you didn't kill yourself like that last rude guy." He's just like, okay, so this bookkeeper is sentient. He is aware. He knows what he's doing when he puts people through these dreams, but he's not malicious. He's not trying to hurt you. He literally wants people to have happy, enjoyable dreams, whatever that might be for you.
My nuts won't be hanging no more.
Thank you. 18-year-old nuts again. For real, man.
Like, shit, this is what I want to dream about. Me in a big, just a room full of girls and me sitting. It would look like a bunch of maggots and pieces going off.
Some Arabian Nights harem stuff going on, right?
That kind of shit.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
That would be I wonder if he can grant that shit.
But and that was the cool part, is that you, like I said, you wake up with full memories of everything that happened in the dream. So it's like you was actually there. Now, here's where it gets a little messed up, right? So they had this one guy who volunteered to test it out. He was like an SCP Foundation employee. He was one of the researchers. So he volunteered to test it out. And when he went to sleep, he wound up going to sleep for more than 24 hours. So much so that they was concerned and they had to like bring in doctors to check on him to make sure he was fine. But everything was fine. He was just sleeping a really long time. So he slept for more than 24 hours. And when he woke up, he literally was confused about where he was. He was like, where am I? And when they started explaining to him who he was and where he was, eventually he got his memory back and he was like, oh yeah, okay, I do remember. So then he was like, okay, I need to use the bathroom. So he got up, he went into the bathroom, and a few minutes went by. Another few minutes went by. He didn't come out. Another few minutes went by. Eventually, somebody went in to go check on him. He had hung himself.
Right.
And he left a note because he said he couldn't come back to this. When they went to the book, the pages in the book was soaking wet. Every time you tried to turn the page, and the words "the hero is born" would not appear. And so after a couple of weeks, one of the researchers basically wrote on a sticky note, it was like, I want to talk to you. And he put it in the book and closed it. And then the next night he had a dream where he got to talk to the bookkeeper. And he asked the bookkeeper what happened. And apparently this guy, this one researcher who killed himself, he was like a D&D player, Dungeons and Dragons and all that kind of shit. So fantasy worlds was his thing. And when he got into the dream, he created like this incredible fantasy world for himself. He became a king. He was ruling a kingdom. He had a wife and kids. He fought dragons. He fought dragons. And because he slept for so long, in his perspective, the dream was over 200 years long.
Wow.
So in dream time, he had been in there for hundreds of years at this point, a couple of 100 years. So when he came out and he had to come back to the real world, he was like, nah, I can't take it. I can't do this. Right. And so he killed himself. But that made the foundation and the bookkeeper come to an understanding. It's like, we can't let that happen again. If you tell us, or somehow let us know, we can pull people out if we need to, or if you can, kick them out. But you can't let that happen again. And he was like, no. He was like, I never meant for that to happen. So
that's crazy. That's crazy.
Right. But that shows you the depth of the creativity that people who write these stories that come up with. That's the thing that I love about it so much, is it's such an example of what the human mind can come up with creatively. Okay, so now we get a little dark. Because
dark, but the picture to it, number 3.
Oh, trust me, when I explain it to you, you're gonna be properly horrified. All right. So number 3 is SCP-1048, and it's called the Build-A-Bear. Okay. Now, for all intents and purposes, as you can see from the photograph, it's a cute, adorable little teddy bear. And as a matter of fact, it can walk, it can gesture and it understands words when you talk to it.
Like a Ted.
It loves to play and hug people and likes to show affection and all this kind of stuff. So at first, the foundation classified it as safe.
Just a teddy bear.
It just was an animate teddy bear and seemed to be alive and aware of itself. So they, of course, took it into containment, but because it seemed so harmless, they gave it like free, like the cat. They gave it free roam of the foundation of the facility that it was in. So after a while, they wound up realizing it was walking around with a copy of itself that it had made.
So there's two of them now.
But the copy was made out of human ears. All out of human ears.
It was like a teddy bear of ears.
It was a teddy bear made out of ears. And when people realized what it was, and of course people tried to catch it, well, the thing emitted a sound that made everybody within range of it bleed from their eyes and ears. And then anybody who that didn't kill, they developed a condition later on, after a few days, where ears started to grow on their internal organs and eventually kill them.
Oh shit! Yeah, he locked that motherfucker up.
Yeah. But the problem is he's loose. He's in the building, but he's loose.
Nobody knows.
And he's
follow the screams.
And he made another copy, and the next copy was made out of metal.
That's crazy.
And this copy ran through a person. Okay. One copy he made, which almost looked normal, wind up taking a pregnant woman and cutting her baby out. And no, I'm sorry, the actual teddy bear, the Build-A-Bear itself, actually found one of the people who worked there was pregnant, caught her while she was asleep, cut the baby out, and used the baby to make another copy. And the copy that was made out of the human baby assaulted another woman by trying to climb into her vagina.
Go back in. That's crazy. That's fucking crazy.
Right? So that shows you, like, it can get ugly in the SCP universe.
I'm telling you.
Because, like, dude, when I first saw the SCP-1048, and when I read about the bear being made out of ears, I was like, what the fuck? What?
Who the hell thinks?
Who the hell thinks of a bear?
That don't make no sense. Yeah, that's crazy. That's like, but yeah, the creativity is crazy. That's what I like about it. Hearing some of these stories, like, what the fuck?
Exactly. I mean, like, as a kid, this was the kind of stuff that I wish had existed back then, because I would have been so even more into this when I was younger, because I was really a hardcore, like, sci-fi fan, and this kind of stuff satisfies a lot of that. Because you have some SCPs that are real technical, like I said, and they talk about a lot of theoretical science, because these people who write these sometimes will base them on real science, you know, and
add a twist to it.
Exactly, you know, just give it a little bit of a nudge. Like, there's a couple of different ones where they talk about time travel, and even at one point the Foundation builds its own time machine, but it winds up getting misused by an employee, and it creates a time loop. It's real. It's like this huge, like, drawn out story, and you're expecting something like amazing and like weird to happen, but then it winds up just being this employee stuck in a time loop. But it's cool the way they tell it. It's really cool. But for number 4,
It's kind of crazy.
Now SCP-106, they call him the Old Man, and this is probably one of the darkest SCPs that I know of, because what you're seeing right there is the Old Man. He is humanoid. He appears to be a person who is in an advanced state of decay. Like, his body has already been dead for some time. That's what he looks like, and that's what you're seeing there in the photograph. And his body oozes this black substance that causes corrosion and decay on anything that it touches.
That would be fucked up.
But he can also use it to teleport into a pocket dimension that he completely controls. So you might be in your room and like this wall of black goo, like a spot of black goo starts appearing on your wall, and he just steps out and he'll grab you, and he likes to hunt people. That's what he does. And then he'll pull you back into his pocket dimension, and he might torture you for a little while, usually kill you, but sometimes he might even let you go. There's been a few people who he's let escape.
That's crazy. When he comes out, he just moves around, or they found his ass?
They found him, but he's still really hard to contain because he can go in and out of that pocket dimension at will. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that they do to try to contain him is they have certain areas in their base that's designated as like trap zones for him. And so what they do is they'll take a D class and break his legs and then sit him out there as bait. And he likes prey that's already in pain. He's attracted by the screaming. And so when you break the legs, you do it painfully, and you just leave them sitting out there, and they're screaming and wailing, and that'll eventually draw them in. And if that doesn't work, they do a few of them. So they might do like 10 or 12, breaking different bones and throw them out, and eventually he'll show up.
And these are workers?
These are D class.
They got to go do that kind of shit.
They usually get them for most D class are like taken from like prisons and stuff like that. People who are on like death row, anyway, yeah, who ain't gonna be missed.
Nobody gonna miss your ass.
Oh, and as a side note, they found this kid. I don't remember the SCP number, but they found this kid who endlessly makes copies of himself. They don't know how he does it, but he just continuously makes copies of himself. And so, because they couldn't figure out what else to do with them, they use them as D class. We're talking about a kid of like.
Keep making them, put them in there.
We're talking about kids maybe like 10 to 12 years old, somewhere up in there, and they basically use them as cannon fodder for when they. But I mean, it
hurt nobody.
It's a renewable resource for them.
Yeah, might as well. Hey, look, you're gonna be your only D class. Just keep making kids.
I mean, I guess he can't be the only one, but they still use others. But yeah, so the old man is one of the creepiest stories as far as SCPs because he's so hard to stop since he can literally teleport from place to place. Like he can appear in a room through this wall and then crawl through another hole in the ceiling and disappear. I mean, that's how he moves. And if people have actually been able to go into his pocket dimension and like kind of scout it, they've used remote drones to scout it out, and it's like this giant, basically like a warehouse full of just like hallways and doors, and they haven't been able to find an end to it, and it seems like he keeps a lot of like parts from victims and stuff all over the place. Yeah, well, there's a way, but there's nothing that's permanent. You can't permanently lock him up. And he's one of the more interesting characters, and I won't give it away in case anybody wants to actually go and look it up. But there is a story that explains his origin and where he came from. And it has to do with World War II. So if you like World War II horror kind of stuff, look up they call it the Young Man, since at that time he was a young man. So yeah, I think if you're interested in it, you probably find that pretty cool. The next one is actually like I thought this one was pretty cool. It's SCP-131. Oh no, I'm sorry. SCP-16.
016.
The sentient microorganism. So basically what it is somewhere in a mine in South America, a miner got coal dust in a wound. And they think that somehow got some ancient spores into his blood system. And it spread kind of like a really bad flu at first. No, I'm sorry. They said it's a hemorrhagic fever. So eventually, like Ebola, you start bleeding out of everything.
Yeah, COVID.
So the virus spread, but then they noticed that with some people, if they were under stress, the virus would do something completely different. So in one instance, the the foundation, when they was experimenting with it, what they did was they took the person and as soon as they confirmed that he was infected, they put him in a room and slowly started filling it with water over the process of 24 hours. What wound up happening is the virus, instead of killing him, started rapidly mutating his genes and eventually turned his lungs into gills and turned his over the course of 2 weeks, it turned his fins, hands and feet into fins. And eventually they wound up killing him when they had to drain the water out of the room because he died. He couldn't breathe air, regular air anymore.
That's crazy. So that thing we want to die.
Exactly. This virus will mutate you in order to keep itself alive. Right. In one case, they put a guy in a cage that was being suspended over like a pit. And they put a bomb with a timer on it that told him basically, like, after this timer runs out, this is gonna break the rope and drop you down, right? And they told him to focus on growing wings. But instead, the virus wound up turning one of his arms into like a tentacle. And it put it where he could reach up and wrap around the cable itself. And then his skin secreted something that was like spider silk that it started wrapping around the cable to keep it from separating. And eventually they wind up when the timer finally did go off, instead of releasing the cage, it actually was a bomb and just blew him up and killed him that way. So that's how they got rid of it. But yeah, it causes the virus in certain conditions will cause rapid mutations that severely alter the body. Said unfortunately most people don't even survive the transformations when they happen. In one instance, so remember the first one, they filled up the room with water, right? Right. So the next experiment they tried after that, they put another dude in the same room, started filling it up with water once he got infected. Instead of developing gills and fins, this dude who was in his previous life before he became a D-class was a chemist. The virus created a new organ on his chest, and the organ was see-through, and you could see that it was filling up with some kind of liquid. And eventually, after watching him, they realized what was happening, so they shot him because what the virus was doing was, instead of trying to make him adapt to the water, it was going to try to make him be able to escape. And it was creating like a, you know how dragons breathe fire? It was basically finna turn him into a flamethrower.
To get out that room.
To get out of that room.
That's crazy.
Like the virus can literally go in some strange ways. So yeah.
Think about writing that kind of shit.
Who comes up with this?
Crazy.
Who the fuck comes up with this? That's what I'm saying. So it's really one of those things. Like I said, if you're a person who loves just good stories, well written, well thought out, get into SCPs, man. It's in the coolest thing about the entire thing is that it's free. Right. You know, you don't have to pay. I mean, there are books, there are, even merchandise out there now. It's kind of gotten its own underground popularity. But there's even merch out there, but you don't have to buy anything or even, subscribe to anything to be able to get these stories. They're on YouTube for free in a lot of instances. You can go to the actual wiki and read the actual stories that have been written if you're more into, just reading them for yourself and having your own inner voice narrated for you.
They do videos and stuff too, right?
Yeah, there are a lot of videos on YouTube. Some
now,
people
they're all written, and then some people do videos.
Right. So
are videos to come up with.
People write the stories and they go up on the wiki, which is the SCP wiki. That's where it actually is. The origin of SCPs, and then people have taken those stories that are on the wiki and turned them into videos on YouTube. Okay. Yeah, so you, like I said, you can read them, or if you do, like I do, I sometimes listen to them when I'm riding in the car. So I'll just have different SCPs playing as I'm going, like I'm listening to an audiobook. You know, it's like a collection of short stories.
I want to know about this next one. It's fun.
SCP-588, the voracious coin. Yeah, this one was.
This is fun.
This one I thought it was cool because okay, who the fuck thinks of a coin, a fucking quarter, being dangerous?
Right.
Okay, so
face with teeth on it and shit.
So basically, it's a quarter, and for all outwards appearance, it's a regular quarter, and it's like stamped year. I think they said was 1972 or something like that. But standard issue quarter.
It shows it on there, 72.
But the quarter itself, the head of George Washington can raise up off the quarter, and it will eat anything organic, including human flesh if it can get it. All in the effort to reproduce.
To make another quarter?
To make more quarters. And eventually what happens is it splits and becomes 2 quarters. But then those 2 quarters can become 4 quarters and so on and so forth. Wow. At one point, it got loose in a Foundation base. And after a couple of weeks, they finally found it because a janitor got attacked by over 400 of them. And they had found their way into one of the cafeterias and was eating just like scraps of food. Mm-hmm. So they was finding like scraps of food in this cafeteria, and so they had multiplied up to the number of 400 in a couple of weeks.
That's crazy.
And the only way you can kill them, is you got to melt them.
That was like $100. 40 quarters, what is it? 40 to make 10, so that's $100.
Oh yeah.
That's crazy. I got attacked by $100.
And he didn't even get to keep the money.
You know what? That would be crazy. I mean, put that motherfucker in your pocket or something, start eating through your pocket, get to your leg.
And that's the thing. It'll keep eating and making copies of itself if it has the opportunity to.
Crazy.
So that they have to keep it like really under tight control. And they said if it doesn't eat for a while, it goes into like a dormant state to where it just sleeps. And they haven't figured out yet how long it can stay like that.
Put them in a big ass piggy bank, keep feeding them every day. When it gets full, pull that one aside, go turn it all in quarters. If I can grab them.
Look, once you get them in the rolls, they'll be locked up. You know,
take them to the bank, get it, come back, feed them again.
That's your problem now.
They'll think I got a coin operating machine somewhere.
Right. Now that would be fun. You passing off dangerous money that actually bites people.
So as they open them rolls,
that's funny.
That would be crazy. But I got paper money now.
Look, don't nobody even carry cash no more. Everybody paying with cards, right?
Right. They might as well get rid of coins.
Shh. It's gonna happen, man. Yeah. It's gonna happen. It's no way around it. Yeah. It's gonna get to that point where money is gonna be all imaginary, just completely imaginary.
Bitcoin shit. Hey, I got all this money here. Take some. How much is that here? Take some. Take what you need. Go on about your work.
Right.
That's crazy.
All right. So the next one up is gonna be one of my favorites because it's really just a nice SCP. It's SCP-131. They call them the iPods. And what you see is exactly how they look. They're just an eyeball on a tiny little wheel thing. They think they might be techno-organic, so they're part biological, part technology, but they're basically nice. They're just friendly. They have they kind of act like cats. They're constantly curious. They like to observe things, obviously. But they basically will just roll around and get into stuff if you let them.
So they just roll around on the ground.
Right, yeah. But now what's interesting though is that they're very keen on protecting people. Like if they like you, if you're one of the people who they deem, you know, that they maybe form a bond with, then they will protect you, so much so to the point where they had to warn employees against it. Like, don't let these things bond with you because they will get in the way while you're trying to do your work. And some of their, you know, I mean, it's the SCP Foundation. Some of the work they do is dangerous.
Right.
So at one point, there's an SCP called SCP-173, the statue. And the statue is this thing. I think we talked about it on the last one, where the minute you look away, it kills you. It snaps your neck.
I think y'all talked about that.
Yeah, yeah. So what happened is they had bonded to somebody whose job it was to go clean that thing's cage. And so they basically first they tried to stop him from going once they realized where he was going. So they was trying to get in his way, but he basically had to push through. And then once he got there, they rolled into the room. And of course, the thing about it is it can't move as long as it's being looked at. So what better way to thwart that than these little creatures who don't have to blink? Right. So basically, they followed him in there, and the entire time they just stayed and it kept their eye on him on the statue the entire time. So they basically protected the dude while he was in there. And once the foundation heard about it, once they realized what had happened, they now are looking into using them for that purpose on a more permanent basis, because that thing is super dangerous and it kills D-Class all the time. Somebody sneezed one time going in to clean the cage, and in that instant where they blinked, when you close your eyes, when you sneeze, snap.
That's crazy. Now this next one, I know what I'm seeing.
Did you already put the picture up?
Not yet.
Okay. Not yet. Okay, it is what you're thinking. SCP-297, Steely Dan.
Steely Dan. Y'all see what that Steely Dan is?
All right. So let me explain.
Next time you go in your wife's drawer, ask her about Steely Dan.
So, okay. The reason this is an SCP is because, as you can see, yes, it is a vibrator.
That's a rabbit.
For the most part, yes. Standard issue, rabbit, clear like that, whatever.
That's crazy.
And the problem is that somebody took out the normal motor and battery that would go in this particular model, and they replaced it with a tiny nuclear reactor, and a tiny little amount of plutonium is what's powering the thing. So they took out the regular controls, which was like a knob where you can control the I guess the intensity, and now it has 4 settings. It has low, medium, high, and then the last setting says suicide. So the way that they found this, okay, is that some people called into the local police because this thing was literally going through a building. It started on the 30th floor and was slowly vibrating its way through each floor and sinking down to the next floor, vibrating its way through. And because with this power source that it has, when you put it on suicide, the setting, no matter what matter you touch it against, it will find a harmonic resonance that will cause that matter to basically disintegrate.
So sorry, bitches.
So when they went back to the original apartment where it all started on the 30th floor of the building, they found a puddle of goo that they once they ran tests on it, they found was human.
Tore that pussy up. Man, that's crazy.
But yeah, so it's a
people would hit fucking suicide and try
a nuclear damn vibrator that can liquefy you. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, who the fuck thinks of this, man?
Just to think of some shit.
This is, but like I said, that's why to me it's just really enjoyable, because you can have a story that silly. And even though, yeah, there's some death and stuff in it, how can you not laugh at a vibrator with a settings that labels suicide?
And like I said, there'd be some bitches that would try that shit.
You already know.
That we saw the 30th floor and turn into goo. What's up with this bowl of foam?
Okay, so this one. Okay, I wanted this one to be my example of a sweet SCP. Okay, so SCP-348, a gift from Dad. All right, So what it is, it's a white ceramic bowl with like blue decorations on the bowl. And when you hand this bowl to a child between the ages, I think they said of like 5 to 18, it will instantly fill with a soup that they like. And if they have any ailments, any like, a cold or a flu or, a headache or anything like that, whatever soup appears in the bowl will instantly heal them of whatever that minor sickness or, condition may be. We're not talking about like curing cancer or nothing,
No, just
but
take away the flu.
yeah, if you got COVID, it would get rid of COVID.
Now you said it would. I could put whatever I wanted, or the bowl.
No, the bowl fills itself. So
whatever soup I like.
but it's gonna fill it with soup that you would enjoy. But that's only if you're under 18. So for people who are over excuse me, and everybody who is under 18, when they eat the soup, they reported it as being like the best soup they've ever had. Okay, so anybody who's over 18, when they take the bowl, it will still fill with soup, but most people won't even be able to eat the soup. They won't like it. It won't taste good to them. But it will still heal. It will still heal you. So you still get that benefit as long as you eat some of it. But here's the thing about the bowl is that every so often when people eat out of this bowl, when you get down to the bottom, messages will appear. And the messages appear to be from one, or in some cases, both of the parents of the person who just ate from the bowl. And the messages usually have something important to tell that person or something that that person needs to hear. So what the foundation can't figure out is they can't figure out if the bowl is somehow really, because in a lot of cases it's people who are dead, so they can't figure out if somehow the bowl is communicating with the dead or if it's drawing these things from people's minds or where it's getting this information from. Right. But somehow these messages appear. So one person who ate out of the bowl had a really huge argument with their father before he died in like a car crash or something. And so the message in the bowl, and of course this person always felt bad because the last things they said to their father was really hateful and mean and all of this. And so the message when they ate out of the bowl, the bottom of the bowl said something like, "I forgive you," or "I love you," or something like that. It was basically a message letting this person know that their father didn't hold a grudge, or wasn't like, yeah. And so it's messages like that you get sometimes when you finish the bowl, or even if you don't finish the soup, you can eat out of it and then pour the rest out, and sometimes the messages will still pop up.
Oh, that's cool.
Right.
It will show up anyways.
Right, because if you're over 18, you're not going to enjoy the soup anyway. So most people at that stage wouldn't eat the whole bowl.
Just you taste it like, oh, this is nasty. I used to like this shit when I was a kid, but not anymore.
But that's the thing, and because the SCPs are written by so many different people, and you have so many different authors and so many different viewpoints and so many different ideas, you get stories like this that are really sweet, and at the same time,
it's interesting as fuck. Right?
Of course, cool. and of course, I'm only skimming the surface of these stories, right, so right. I recommend to anybody, go and check them out. Either read them on the wiki or go and look them up on YouTube. You can find hundreds of videos about SCPs. I guarantee you will have no trouble finding them.
You're gonna have the foundation up in this show with that.
Right? I wish there was a way we could do that. I really do, but like for the people who run the wiki, there actually is an O5 council, but it's just people who basically review the submissions they get for new SCPs and decide whether or not they get an actual
come on our show, we can black them out.
Redacted.
They can talk any way they want.
Do we have a voice alterer?
We need one, right?
That would be cool. Look, if that's the case, I want to sound like them James Earl Jones. I want to be Darth Vader up in this bitch.
Today we're talking about politics. What's this last one, man? We almost out of time.
So the last one is one that I just think of as being like a fun SCP 410. It's called the Editor Beetles. Okay, and basically, if you know what a scarab beetle looks like, that's basically what they look like. They're related to scarab beetles, but these beetles can exist. They don't eat anything but written errors. So, say like you write a term paper, right? And you of course, in the process of writing it, you're gonna make some mistakes.
Right.
So they will go through, if you put the document where they can crawl on it, they will go through, eat all the errors, whether it's grammatical, whether it's syntax, you know, if you got words out of order, whatever the case may be, they will eat all the errors. They will fix misspellings. They will do all of that. And then after a few minutes, they go back and they have a special organ in their body that allows them to reproduce any ink or pigment used for writing. So then they will reprint corrections throughout the whole paper in the exact same ink that it was written in the same font and everything. They always match the
so
style.
That's what's inside our computers and shit. That's the spell check.
That's the well, and that's the funny part. They made a note in the SCP file itself that they can't affect digital media, but it's like a real world autocorrect.
That's crazy.
Now, what was cool is that so they basically live in a hive. There's about 30 or 40 of them. And what's interesting is if you give them a document that's and you let the whole group get into it, not only will they correct errors, but they will also start to change the style of the writing.
Make it look better.
So they change it to a style that's completely different from the original style. So it's completely them doing this, but they will keep most of the same narrative in most cases, but they change the way the story is actually written.
It should be this.
If you get so as an experiment, they had this D class who had a tattoo on his arm that was misspelled.
Right.
So they basically strapped this dude to a chair and put the beetle on his arm, and it crawled over to his tattoo. It ate the errors off the tattoo, and then eventually went back and filled it in with new ink. Now, you could still tell the difference between the new ink and, of course, the old original ink, but it was the exact same colors. They matched it up. And so the dude was like, take it. He said the removal hurt like hell. He said, but the redo, the corrections basically felt like getting a new tattoo.
That's crazy.
And they don't really know how these creatures do it, but they've put them on like ancient texts, and they've been able to make corrections and match the ink. Of course, the problem is that you can still tell the newer ink from the older ink, but they match even like these ancient, copies of ink. So I just thought those would be cool, to mention, because it like I said, the whole point was to show people the just breadth, the variety of things that you can cover in SCPs. It just is not. It's not something that's just one thing.
Right. That was a lot of different teddy bear, damn vibrator, bug, a shadow man and shit.
But that's whatever you're into. I guarantee you, there's SCPs that cover it. So yeah, man. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap this one up.
The website.
Yeah, one more time. www.thaDailySmoke.com. Please check us out. Please go and hopefully you might feel it in your heart to donate. That Cash App is $TD Smoke. So please, anything you might be willing to give, we appreciate. And even if you can't, we still love y'all anyway. So
it's for them either way.
Exactly, because all we're gonna do is invest that money right back into what we're doing right here.
Right.
So thank y'all for joining us, man. I'm Brother Jam.
Brother Los on the cam.
And this is Daily Smoke Sessions. We are out. Peace.